So today I am joined by Lee Jackson, BSB racer. So Lee, how are you getting on? And how, I suppose, were you getting on throughout the coronavirus lockdown? Obviously, you're back at BSB now, which is where you want to be. But how was it with no racing?
Yeah, to be fair, it was a bit strange, obviously, for the same for everyone. But during the summertime, if you like, I was out most weekends riding my little pit bike in a friend's field, so it wasn't ideal. Probably shouldn't be safe as maybe socialising a little bit, but we all kept our distance. And when you race motorbikes, nearly every weekend of the year, I couldn't miss out on riding my little pit bike. So yeah, after like the most serious time in lockdown, we riding pit bikes and just having a good time biking. And again, it was so different to the normal summer of being away at a racetrack each weekend. So I kind of enjoyed it really, but obviously to come back racing, there's nothing better.
So you've been in the British Championship since 2010, but just kind of going back a little bit, how did you first get involved in motorbikes, and how did you end up getting into the British Championship?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to ride bikes since I've been 3, 4 years old, and both my dad and uncle did race at the British Championship, and then I didn't really take to racing until I was 12 years old, and then, like you say, came to British Superbikes in 2010, mainly because obviously I raced in Thundersport on the British Super Teens, and then made the step over to British Superbikes on the 125. But realistically, I was never one to shine through the lower classes on the racing, so it's been quite a I'd say not. It's been quite hard work for me initially to get myself up the sharp end of racing, and I've had a good learning curve. I feel like my racing career's gone quite well, and this year in Superbikes is panning out to the way I'd like it to be.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, just when you said there you weren't really shining or whatever, you're certainly shining this year anyway. You're right up there with the lads at the top in the Superbikes. So back in the Superbikes this year, after a couple of years in Super Stock, you did very well in the Super Stock, and I suppose picked up a couple of podiums and was it a couple of wins as well in there. So did that kind of give you the confidence, I suppose, going into Superbikes? That's the kind of stepping up from the Super Stock.
Yeah, last year obviously my last race last year in Superstock I won at Brands Hatch, so obviously going into the win period as the last race win in Superstock, that's always nice. And yeah, like moving back to Superbikes, although it was going to be another learning curve, I knew that I had a confidence in myself to know that I could do well. So coming back to Superbikes this time, it's been a definite transition that has gone a lot easier than previous. So yeah, the season's gone really well. I've had a few fourth places, and obviously finally got the podium last time out at Alton. So it's been a good transition this year, and really loving being back in Superbikes.
And I've seen that you hold the current lap record as well at Cadwell Park, so that must be nice as well to have that under your belt.
Yeah, I've still got the Superbike lap record from 2017, which is nice. Obviously, it's a lap record that I don't know why, but just everyone seems to know about that one. But I managed to pick up a few more lap records last year in Superstock as well. But now I'm back in Superbikes. If I could get my name to another Superbike lap record, that'd be good as well.
So you got a third overall in, was it last year Superstock 1000? Was it last year that you got the third? So
yeah, it was. Yeah.
I suppose, what kind of is the difference stepping up from Superstock into Superbike? Can you just kind of explain a couple of little differences maybe?
Well, obviously, first of all, with going in Superbikes, generally would have 2 races a weekend. That bit longer distance, a lot more track time. But obviously, with the current climate how it is this year, we've had 3 races per weekend, and as if some people don't realise, but you don't just sit on the bike each weekend and let the bike ride you. So, three races a weekend is quite difficult. Obviously, we're racing against the best lads in the UK, so there's quite a bit of physical differences from the Superstock bike to Superbike, but from actual bike wise, you can have better tyres, slightly better electronics package. You don't have full electronics where you have anti-wheelie or traction control, but we can alter certain things around the bike slightly differently to Superstock, and the bike whole package is just a next step. It's next level from Superstock to Superbike, and you really, when you first jump on the bike, you really notice some differences. But now, for me, I'm asking for more power, which as a rider you don't always get.
And then, of course, it's VSP is quite commercialized, and it is quite an expensive sport to get into, I suppose. So, riders, I suppose, would rely on sponsorship and different things like that. Entry fees and tires and just all the little bits that you need to go to make it a successful weekend of racing. So, how important and how vital, I suppose, are having sponsors? When you're going to race VSP.
Yeah, with the current climate, unfortunately, my team that I raced for this year, we lost the main sponsor just before the round one. So, we advertised the company for round one because that was part of the contract. But since round one, our team's been, on looking out for more sponsors, if you like, because we lost the main one. And as you say, racing in British Superbikes isn't cheap. And for two Superbikes per weekend, you're looking at, 10 to 15,000 pound per weekend with all the damages and tyre burn and fuel. So, without our sponsors, for myself and my team, for every rider, we wouldn't all be here. So to get sponsors these days, it's very tough. But for everyone that is on board, I'm very grateful for that. And it's all we can do is advertise these companies as much as possible, and try and get each and every one of the brands out there.
And obviously, racing this year has been a lot different in many ways, to like normal years of VSB. But a big thing, I suppose, is the corporate end of things, and of course the fans not being able to go. It must be very quiet and a bit of sort of an anticlimax when you come back in after a race that there isn't as much of a buzz around the place, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. It's such a weird feeling because you go racing to have the fans there. You have, you look at the banks on the outlap of the practice of the qualifying the race. You got people there cheering. You can just see the amount of people that love motorbike racing. And this year's been so different not having them people around. But we've been very fortunate to have minimum people at the tracks and have a few friends and family come along. But it's still, like you say, so different when you come in. Like for myself, getting the first podium last weekend, you're there, you're celebrating, but there's it's a shame that you can't have fans there to embrace them podium positions, and even like to chucking your Pirelli cap into the crowd, and giving a little kid a great day. So it's definitely been a weird experience, but hopefully we'll be back to normal next year. We can have fans back and try and embrace having them around more.
And then, of course, with the whole coronavirus thing, I'm sure, I haven't actually been over to any VSBs this year, but I'm sure like there's restrictions and stuff. Has that kind of impacted at all on your riding or how you kind of have to prepare or anything? With the mask situation and all that. Or is it kind of just, go out, ride a bike, and it's not really affecting you, or is it?
If I'm honest, probably for us riders, it affects us the least. It's the mechanics that are in the garage all day. They have to wear the mask during the day in the garage. Us riders do have to wear a mask when we come into the garage before the session, but typically mid-session and whilst we're out on the bike, obviously we don't have a mask on. So during the paddock, walking around the paddock and at your own caravan, there's no masks. You don't need to wear a mask. So for me, I can. Them rules are fine. It's just that we've all got to bear up the mechanics that are in the garages pretty much all the time, working on our bikes. They're the guys that got to wear a mask all day, along with all these great people that work behind the scenes at the NHS and various other places. So wearing a mask for me is just part and parcel of it, and I'm just appreciating the fact that I can still go race my motorbike each weekend at the moment.
And then, of course, this weekend, Donington Park, it's the second last weekend of the season, really. And then, of course, the penultimate race at Brands Hatch. So what, I suppose, are your ambitions, and what are you hoping to achieve, I suppose, for the last two rounds?
Yeah, for me, I really enjoyed both circuits that we got lined up for the last two rounds of championships. So this weekend, like normal, I'm aiming for top six. It'd be nice to get on the podium again. I think the weather might not be on our side this weekend. I think we're finally coming to the end of the nice British summer we've had. So could be a few wet races this weekend, but for me, I'm looking to get inside the top six and try and budge myself up the championship order a little bit more. But myself in 8th to 5th place, 20 points, it covers us all. So that's the goal. And then at Brands Hatch, the same. I won there last year in Superstock, and I know that I can possibly do the same on Superbike.
Well, we wish you the very best of luck anyway for the rest of the season, Lee, and hopefully see you at a VSB paddock or in the VSB paddock in 2021 if coronavirus would let all the fans and spectators back over next year. But until then, have a great rest of 2020 and the very best of luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you.